Once upon a time, the Parthenon looked like this. A temple to the goddess Athena. It was a symbol of culture and refinement. A beautifully sculpted marble frieze banded the Parthenon above the columns. And so this temple stood for 2,000 years. But in 1687, it was blown up during a war between Venice and the Ottoman Empire, which was then occupying Greece. The Parthenon lay in ruins. A century later, Lord Elgin, the British ambassador to the Ottoman Empire, received what he construed as permission to remove the marble friezes and take them home to England. His partisans say he saved these stunning artworks from vandals who were pulling them apart. Without him, they say, the marbles wouldn't exist. But to his detractors, Lord Elgin himself was the vandal, who cut up the frieze into sections so they could be shipped more easily to England.
We have a piece in London, and we have other fragments from the same piece, let's say the heads of the figures, in Athens.
Dimitrios Pandermalis heads the organization that's building Greece's new Acropolis Museum, and he wants the marbles back permanently.
They symbolize the highest moment of classical art in ancient Greece. They belong to the Parthenon itself.
But the British Museum is equally emphatic that this is not going to happen.
You can't lend something to a sort of government or a country that doesn't recognize your ownership of them.
As far as the British Museum is concerned, it has legal title to the marbles. Moreover, it has a mission as a museum of all world cultures.
What the British Museum can almost uniquely provide is an opportunity to see the Parthenon sculptures in context with civilizations that flourished and around the time of ancient Greece. You can also uniquely see the huge inspiration that these objects have had on subsequent world cultures and how they have become now masterpieces of art and masterpieces of Greek civilization.
But Professor Pandermalis isn't buying that argument. The story he wants to tell is depicted in the frieze itself, which shows an important Athenian religious procession. But only about 50% of the original frieze survives today. And of that 50%, about half are in London, and the other half are in Athens. He believes all the surviving pieces should be exhibited together, because seen together, they have a narrative.
It's not correct for a piece so important to have fragments in different places and not all the originals together next to the original building.
And the British public seems to agree with him. Poll after poll shows that the people of Britain support the idea of returning the marbles to Greece. So would the British Museum then go against the voice of the British people?
Well, I think we'd have to look in a little bit more detail in terms of those polls, and I think it's worth saying that all of them are certainly now, some years old. People think it's a simple decision, yes or no, they stay or they go, and that's it. And it isn't. It's a very, very, very complicated situation.
For now, Professor Pandermalis intends to fill in the gaps of his frieze with copies of the British Museum's frieze, so that visitors can have a more complete vision of the procession that's depicted.
We'll paint the copies with special color to make differentiation. Of course, our target is that we replace one day the copies with the originals.
And he's hopeful they can work something out.
On the basis of an exchange, of a friendly cooperation, will be possible to get back the maps of the Parthenon.
The trustees, we have a very generous loans policy. There isn't any, there would be no reason why that discussion couldn't take place.
And perhaps this great symbol of civilization will ultimately inspire a solution that benefits everyone.